One of the most persistent memes in the entire anime community has been the hard work versus gifted debate. Essentially, this meme takes the Rock Lee versus Gaara fight from the Chunin exams of Naruto and applies it to the main characters across different anime series. Did they get to where they are through working hard, training, and personally bettering themselves compared to their peers who didn't work as hard, like Rock Lee? Or were they carried by innate abilities and talents that simply made them better than everyone else, making their struggles infinitely harder, like Gaara? Obviously, there is a lot of bait and personal slander involved with these posts and conversations, as people will put characters randomly into characters for engagement and rage bait so people comment to tell them why they're so wrong. Obviously, hard work is seen as a commendable and good thing that is better than the talent-relying frauds who only got as far as they did because of factors completely outside of their control. In other words, you usually don't want your favorite anime MC or side character to appear in the talent section, as it puts their power on fraud watch and says, hey, anyone could be that strong if they had the same gifts that that guy did. If it wasn't clear from my tone, I find this topic incredibly stupid because not only does it fundamentally misunderstand pretty much every single anime character that gets brought up in these debates, but it also fundamentally misunderstands the original fight that inspired this conversation in the first place. Regardless of if an anime character gets put into the hard work or the talent category, the assessment is almost always 100% wrong. So today, let's look into why the hard work versus talent debate simply doesn't make sense. If you like this kind of stuff, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's jump right in. Now, to get this out of the way, there are absolutely characters in fiction who have never had to work hard for their powers. Almost always, this comes in the form of either villains like Boo, whose natural strength since birth is a fundamental aspect of their character, or in Western stories, in which the attainment of abilities or the increase in strength is not necessarily the fundamental focus of the character. Working hard has nothing to do with Peter getting bit by the spider, but neither did natural talent. But we'll get back to that one later. That's why we're mostly going to be sticking to talking about shonen anime main or secondary characters, as that is the original and consistent focus of these posts. The primary issue I have with the assessments, and the reason I think it's stupid, is that almost always the main character is both gifted and hardworking. Saying they are only one or the other doesn't make sense. For no better example of this, let's talk about Son Goku from Dragon Ball. Now, usually, Goku gets put into the hard work category in these memes, but sometimes, either genuinely or as bait, he does get put into the talented or gifted category. But to quickly define talent, it's having a natural aptitude or skill for something, and in other words, if two people are doing the same thing, the more talented one at that task will have a much easier time doing it. The thing with Goku, and the main issue with this meme overall, is that Goku within the context of Dragon Ball is both hardworking and talented. Now, the main hardworking aspect of Goku is far more obvious from a cursory glance at Dragon Ball. Goku in pretty much every single arc needs to overcome a new opponent or challenge by training harder than he ever had previously, be it with Korin, or Kami, or Kinkai, or Roshi, or Whis, or Vegeta, or Gohan, or just training by himself. Even in times of peace, Goku is continuously working to improve himself. It is a fundamental aspect of the character that combines the teachings of Roshi with Saiyan inclinations for battle. Several of his major transformations came entirely from hard work. Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan Blue, and the Ultra Instinct forms in the manga all came from Goku directly attempting to improve himself and did not come to him through natural means. So that's pretty cut and dry then, right? Goku trains all the time and gets stronger through hard work. Obviously, he's just a hard worker, right? Well, obviously not. To say Goku is not gifted or talented is equally bad at understanding Goku as a character, or Dragon Ball overall as a series as it is to say that he is not a hard worker. Pretty much from the very beginning of the series, Goku has had talent that exceeds his peers. He instantly learns the Kamehameha with no hard work needed, even though it took Roshi decades to learn and master the technique. As a child, he's both stronger than his peers who did the exact same training as him, and even can match warriors with far more experience than him, which in and of itself is a trope of shonen anime. Now, as the series progresses, Goku continuously runs into characters whose basic level of talent and natural power without any hard work is far higher than his own, something I talked about at the start with characters like Kid Buu. However, within Dragon Ball, natural strength is not the same as being gifted or talented. We see this pretty clearly, almost verbatim with Vegeta. At least in Dragon Ball Z, there is literally nothing Vegeta Vegeta can do to keep up with Goku's natural gifts. Vegeta literally says he's not as gifted as Goku is, despite having been born naturally more powerful than Goku was. In other words, the capacity for Goku to train, continuously improve, and break his limits at the rate that he does, in and of itself makes him an insanely gifted person. This also isn't generally looking at Goku's gifted nature as just being a Saiyan. While yes, he unlocked several Super Saiyan forms through hard work, unlocking Super Saiyan in the first place only happened because he was gifted with Saiyan genetics, with plenty of Saiyan exclusive Zenkai boosts doing a lot of heavy lifting in the final hours before fighting Frieza. But at the same time, the only reason he lasted that long against Frieza was because of abilities like Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb, which he learned through both hard work and talent. This also applies to pretty much every other Dragon Ball character. Even Frieza in Dragon Ball Super has shown both gifts, talent, and hard work. I can go on, but I hope you're getting the point. Now, unless you're being intentionally reductive of an anime character, you can probably apply this logic to pretty much every single shonen anime MC. The really only difference is that what it means to be gifted or talented may vary between series, just as power scales and power systems vary. Let's just quickly cover some important examples. Both Deku from My Hero Academia and Luffy from One Piece work incredibly hard to improve at different parts of the story, but I think it's wrong to ignore the fact that while they weren't born with strong abilities, they are given two of, if not the strongest powers in the entire world. This is also the comics comparison I was making before. While yes, Peter doesn't have any talent or hard work that leads him to getting bit by the spider, it's his other talents and hard work as a superhero that makes him fall into both of those categories. Either way, if they had only worked hard, they would not have gone as far without becoming gifted with insanely strong powers. Take Ichigo from Bleach for another example. He was actually born with pretty much every single genetic gift possible, but to call him not hardworking again would be wrong. The only reason he was able to fully access these gifts throughout the story in the first place is that he worked hard and trained to use them. Now, I could go on with pretty much any shonen anime, or use Naruto as a prime example, but Naruto is the reason this video exists in the first place. So let's now take a quick look at Lee versus Gaara, and why this fight was never actually what people think it is. Now, to this day, people look at Lee vs. Gaara and treat it like it is or should have been the thesis statement of Naruto. Lee represents hard work as a way to get stronger, while Gaara represents natural talent or being gifted, and that Lee's hard work wins the moral battle between them, that hard work is always better than natural talent. Now, there are several fundamental issues with this assessment. Firstly, one fight between two non-main characters in the middle of an arc should pretty obviously not be the narrative cornerstone of the next 500 chapters of a manga. So no, talented people beating hard-working people later on in Naruto does not betray its initial message, because that wasn't the initial message of Naruto in the first place, and wasn't even the message of the Chunin exams. This should have been pretty clear when Sasuke, a guy more talented and less hardworking than Lee, does better against Gaara than Lee did. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The second misconception about Lee versus Gaara, at least in regard to hard work versus talent, is that Lee and Gaara fundamentally do not represent hard work and talent, because just like we've been talking about, both of them are a mix of both things. Let's look at Lee. There is no question that Lee has things rough. He can't use Genjutsu and Ninjutsu and is forced to become a Taijutsu specialist. This is obviously a handicap, but Lee trains pretty much harder than anyone else to make up for this handicap. Not only becoming incredibly fast and strong, but learning the 8 gates up to the 5th gate. Here's where the major issue arises, as we get directly told that learning the 8 gates to the extent he has is something that could not come from hard work alone. In other words, Lee is talented. While he isn't a general talent, it is a specific and specialized talent that at the time made him essentially the second strongest guy there. Just like Goku, he is a genius of learning and training in a way that his peers simply aren't. If this message was hard work is exclusively good and a path to strength, this line would not have been kept in the story. Now, Gaara's case is weird, as just like Naruto, his quote natural talent isn't a blessing, it's a curse for him. The powers he has come from a giant monster inside him who will do whatever it takes to be free and would gladly end his life if he could. Now, the crazy thing is that even with this gift, Gaara verbatim does train. Now, obviously, he might not work as hard as Lee, as no one works as hard as Lee, but neither of them are perfect encapsulations of the supposed concepts they represent. The hard work guy is talented, and the talent guy works hard. So tell me again, why should we put other characters from other stories into the rigid, incorrect, and reductive categories that didn't exist in the series that inspired it? If you take anything from this video, it should be that you shouldn't fall for bait. The internet, and especially the anime community, thrives off of getting fans angry by spreading misinformation. If you see your favorite character in the talent category, see it as a reminder that, yeah, they are talented, but they also are absolutely hard-working. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. As always, thank you to my members who got to see this video early, and if you disagree with my takes, let me know how I was wrong in the comments down below. See ya!